Heel, latest film from Jan Komasa, who made Corpus Christi and Anniversary, and is quickly becoming the most interesting Polish filmmaker working currently. This is a Polish-British co-production starring Stephen Graham, Andrea Riseborough, Anson Boone, Kit Rakusen, and Monika Frajcik. It was originally going to be titled Good Boy, and I believe it retained that title in some territories, but was mostly changed because there was another movie released just a couple months before this, also titled Good Boy. That one was a horror film told from the perspective of a dog. Not very good, I'm afraid. There is a review of this on my channel as well. So the producers wanted to avoid confusion between the two. The movie starts with showing us a wild night out from the perspective of a young man named Tommy. Alcohol, drugs, clubs, sex, abrasive, violent, and in some cases downright criminal, illegal behavior, and with him collapsing on the street fully drunk. We then find him chained up in the cellar of a big, secluded country house occupied by a family of three. The family have apparently kidnapped Tommy and are holding him prisoner in an attempt to rehabilitate him and make him civilized, or in other words, change him into a good boy. So, much like other Komasa films, I thought this was quite fascinating. The first thing that jumped out to me was how unlikable he makes Tommy. Not even in the opening sequence, but even for quite some time afterwards, when he's already a prisoner. He essentially is doing everything he can to make you not sympathize with this objectively horrifying situation. On the other hand, his kidnappers, for 95% of the time, behave as if they were kind and loving parents, and really, outside the occasional violence in reaction to Tommy's outbursts, they do stay consistent with that behavior. So the audience is put into this moral conundrum where, on the one hand, it is kidnapping and they are holding someone prisoner like psychopaths. On the other, Tommy is, you can make an argument he's objectively a bad person at the start, and very, very, very slowly the methods he's subjected to appear to be working. And of course, he is constantly trying to escape and find a way out. But the fascinating thing is that at the very end of the film, you have that realization that he also reaches when confronted with his past life outside, and the realization that he was drifting aimlessly through life and he is invisible and almost nobody even cares about him and what happens to him. Which leads to the big question at the very end. Is this Stockholm syndrome or something more? Has he reflected and decided to change, decided to accept the fucked up methods of his captors because they led to results? I think performances are splendid, especially Stephen Graham and Anson Boone. I like the subplot of the hired housekeeper, played by the wonderful Monika Frajcik, but I felt that there could have been something more done with it. It felt weird and at the same time kind of terrifying how she at one point disappears from the movie. I like the cinematography, the camera work, the tension building. I liked the specter of this other character from the past, someone named Charlie, who was clearly there before Tommy, but is never fully explained. Was he the son of the family who died somehow? Was this another captive? We only get suggestions, and I quite like that. Overall, I thought it was really interesting, thought-provoking movie that deliberately evades being obvious in favor of leaving its questions open for the audience to think about. Solid stuff.